I knew I had an aversion to heat, but never realized how much I was actually capable of sweating until I started the Peace Corps training in Guinea, West Africa. I awoke with the mosque's call to prayer in the morning around 6 a.m., took a cold bucket bath, got dressed in my newly bought high-tech, ultra-wicking safari gear from my outdoorsy store back in the States, and by 7:30, I had almost entirely soaked my shirt with perspiration. Despite my beach towel that I took to class, the only spot I could keep dry was a 2-inch triangular area on either bottom side of my free-flowing fancy shirt. I even convinced myself that if I were to open my hands as widely as I could, the increased surface area to the air would help in cooling me down. This obviously proved ineffective. I was so hot and uncomfortable that I actually daydreamed of having the superhuman ability of unzipping and stepping out of my own horribly uncomfortable skin. During those first days in country, I was determined to outsmart the heat, and as the end of training neared, I thought I had my ticket into the cold. All volunteers could make one request for their future village site. Some chose places where certain languages were spoken. Others chose to be close to the ocean. Others went where there was good local music. I, on the other hand, requested the coldest place in the country. My boss laughed as he saw the sweat dripping from the tip of my nose and granted my wish. I was headed to the north-central mountainous part of Guinea and would never look back. To my chagrin, the village was located in a cool region, but an extremely hot valley. And to make things worse, the community had decided to place me in a newly built structure made of concrete with tin roofing, but in which the windows faced away from the direction of the wind. The room, as a result, was as hot and airless as a cattle car. Once again, I mustered the determination to outsmart the heat. I busted out my light-colored clothing that reflected the sunlight. I wore a visor, such that my face was shaded, but my head would be left uncovered to release the heat coming from my noggin. I used a terracotta cooling jug that people used in my village to cool water. One day, my friend Damon taught me a trick for staying cool in dry climates. Dunk your t-shirt into a bucket of water, wring it out, then put it on. As you lay there in your cold, wet shirt, the water slowly evaporates, leaving you feeling cool. Ah, what a simple solution to restless hot nights. I learned to appreciate the rare cold Coke that was in the only kerosene fridge in town. I learned to take breaks under the shade of a tree. With perspective of time, I've come to realize that most of my projects during this time abroad hinged on my aversion to heat. To keep the school cool, I planted 50 trees around all the school buildings. At nights, I fondly remember lugging my mattress outside so I could sleep under the cool sky. As a result, I came to love the stars, sunrises, and sunsets. I also have a memorable night when I came very close to a massive rat that lived under my house. I scared it more than it scared me. Since my first home in the village was so hot, I contacted the local leaders to see if I could use the rent money they would otherwise be spending on my accommodations to move into a dilapidated schoolhouse and fix it up while I lived there. As a result, students and I planted a garden, flowers, and trees. I taught them how to stencil, and we painted classroom names above each doorway. It would be my new oasis. When I biked to nearby villages, I'd set off at 5 a.m. before sunrise to beat the heat, take a break midday, then continue on in the evening to see the sun set. My lifestyle began to match the cycles of the sun. I got up and went to sleep at almost the exact time every day, and being close to the equator, this routine was kept consistent throughout the year. During those years in Guinea, I slept better than I ever had in my life. I even started a solar-powered computing lab stemming from my fascination with the sun and its power. It's now been 5 years since I've returned from Peace Corps. Those 3 years were by far the most fun I've ever had in my life. I loved Guinea, my students, and the other volunteers who I met, and I can honestly say that my aversion to heat helped to create my wonderful experience. For that, I am extremely grateful.